Well, good morning, everyone. We're going to get started now. I want to start off by welcoming you, all of you here, and thanking you for your participation. We really have a great presentation for you this morning. On behalf of the 5-star accredited Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce, I again want to welcome you to this webinar. I always say that because the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce has worked very hard to earn this distinction. And as a matter of fact, we're the only Chamber of Commerce in the greater Houston metropolitan area to have earned this distinction. And by the way, it has a shelf life. You just don't earn it one time and you get to carry that designation forever. You've got to reapply for it every 2 or 3 years. So we're very proud of that. And that's my shout out to the Chamber for all the hard work in that regard. My name is Jim Rice, and I have the pleasure to serve the chairman of the Fort Bend Chamber's Education Division. We appreciate you being with us this morning. We can't have these meetings without sponsors, and at this time I would like to recognize and acknowledge our 3 sponsors. First of all, we have PBK Architects, represented by Melissa Turnbow. And Melissa, we're very glad to have you here. We also have Kevin Matoka, who is with Stonehenge Holdings, LLC. And Kevin, thank you very much for being a sponsor. And we also have my firm, Rice & Gardner Consultants. But before I introduce our speakers, I want to inform everyone in the audience about the chat feature. If you're on this Zoom webinar, at the bottom of your screen, you should see the chat box, and you can push that and enter your questions, and we'll have time for questions and answers at the end of the presentation. We're going to allow sufficient time for that because I'm sure you will have questions, because this is really an exciting opportunity for Fort Bend ISD, for the University of Houston, for Fort Bend County, but moreover for the students of Fort Bend ISD. And we're really grateful to have this opportunity. I want to begin by introducing our panelists. First of all, we have Dr. Charles Dupre, who is the superintendent of Fort Bend ISD and has been since 2013. We have Adeola Helinger, Addie Helinger, as we call her. Addie is the Fort Bend ISD Board of Trustees president. She was elected in 2015 and reelected in 2018 and is currently running for reelection. Shout out to her, she's doing a great job. Robin Hrivnatz, who joined Microsoft in 2014 and is a director on the U.S. Education Industry Executive Team, is with us today, along with Dr. J. Neal, Associate Vice President, Academic Affairs and Chief Operating Officer of the University of Houston Sugar Land and U of H, and Tammi Warfield, who is Vice President of Customer Success at Microsoft. This is a big Microsoft initiative. And then Jeff Wiley, who is the President and CEO of the Fort Bend Economic Development Council and a great friend of mine. So I want to please ask everyone to join me in a great, warm, virtual welcome for our panelists. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Dr. Dupre, to kick it off and get the ball rolling. I think you might be on, if you're talking, Dr. Dupre, you might be on mute.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you tell me what you're seeing, please? I want to make sure you're seeing the presentation.
Yes, we are. Yep. We're seeing it.
Very good. Thank you so much. I'm an amateur at this, and I don't know why I agreed to do it. But again, thank you for the warm introduction. You know, I'm going to get right to the point. As you can see from the name of this presentation about a Microsoft Showcase School in Fort Bend ISD related to a new STEM pathway, it's an exciting day in Fort Bend in our community. And as you can also see by the number of participants in this presentation, it represents a huge collaborative effort by many components of our community. So I'm excited to open the presentation, but I'm going to turn it quickly over to Jeff Wiley and Tammi Warfield and let them get started to talk about the big picture, how this whole thing got rolling. Jeff?
Thank you, Charles. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to kind of provide some context, and Tammi and I are going to try to do that in the first 3 slides here. But this is a huge, important development for Fort Bend ISD, Fort Bend County, and for all of the academic pursuits that we have, from education to work. I want to take you back to 2017 and the timeframes of the Amazon Headquarters 2 search that was underway. Every city in the country was looking for an opportunity to recruit them. And that really led, after the decision for them to go to New York and Virginia, that led to some introspection, some context, if you will, about what did we have wrong? What did we have right? What's our strengths? What's our weaknesses? The traditional SWOT analysis. At the same time, we've known for a long time that we're heavily dependent on energy, the ports, the medical centers. Certainly those are the 3 dominant industries in the Houston market. But we've always strived since '86 to begin to diversify our economy, right? So the oil bust happened and all of that. And so there was kind of an understanding that we need to continue to diversify on a regional basis. If you remember, 2014, we had $144 a barrel of oil. And at that time, the oil sector was basically comprised of about 580,000 jobs back in 12-13, and 60,000 was in oil and gas extraction. Today, that number is down to about 33,000. And in total, oil and gas is down from 580 to about 511. So we've lost jobs from 14 to now. That means there's a huge amount of STEM talent, quite frankly, still out in the market that needs to be redeployed. And so that's obviously a part of an understanding about how do we use that talent in the market to find new ways, new job opportunities. And there was a recognition out of that process that we really needed to think about the digital economy and something digital and scalable. And so if you remember, there are a number of initiatives that are underway with respect to that effort. Startup talent has been largely on East and West Coast, digital up in New York with the financial markets, and digital out in Silicon Valley. And so, and those areas are kind of hostile business environments. So the region kind of understood that out of this process, there's an atmosphere that is an opportunity for Texas and Florida and other states that were really pro-business. And those opportunities started to focus regionally, both in Houston downtown and out here and around, on the development of innovation hubs, such as the Ion in Houston and the Cannon, that it has multiple locations across Houston at this point. And so what we were trying to do in the context of all this is create STEM talent and university talent in the Houston region that could be deployed. At the same time, I think Microsoft was working on issues with Houston, and I'll turn that over to Tammi to talk a little bit about that in context.
Yes, so thanks, Jeff. When I started with Microsoft a little over 3 years ago, I was, in addition to my role in customer success, I was asked to be the managing director for Microsoft in Houston. And really the focus of that was about creating a stronger presence for Microsoft in the community. And it also coincided with signing of the alliance with the city of Houston and with Johnson Space Center. So from that capacity, I was invited to sit on the board of the Greater Houston Partnership. I got to know my friend, Dean Ambler, who I see is on this call. Hi, Tony. And that was my first introduction to the University of Houston. And through a lot of very refreshing and innovative discussions, the Microsoft UH relationship continued to grow, particularly around the College of Technology as well as other areas. And that resulted in a phenomenal opportunity for me to participate in the December 2019 commencement address. And it was during that day that Dean Ambler and I were talking about Microsoft, about the university. And I said to him, I'm doing a lot of work with Microsoft in Houston, but I live in Sugar Land and I'd really like to do more out here. What are your thoughts? He said, here are a couple of people you need to meet, but I'd start with Jeff Wiley. And so Jeff and I met, it was December 30th. just ringing, or maybe it was the 31st, right at the very end of 2019, had just an introductory meeting that very quickly evolved into the concept of a school. And Jeff said, we'd love to have a STEM school, but we don't have a curriculum. And I said, well, we have a curriculum, but we can't build a school. So how do we bring those two together? And really there was just an immediate sense of energy around it. So from there, it was my job to go figure out where within Microsoft we had the subject matter experts to talk about our program. Because while I was aware that we had a program, I'd not been directly engaged. And you can imagine a company the size of Microsoft, finding specific resources can be a little bit difficult. And especially when it turned out that there is one person in all of Microsoft responsible for the Showcase program in the United States, and she leads a team of 7, found out that Robin, who you are going to hear from in a few minutes, lives in Fort Bend County. So in Microsoft, it's all virtual, right? We're used to talking to people all over the world. And she said, well, I live in Richmond. I said, Richmond, Texas? All 59? Like 10 minutes from me? Really? The serendipity of that was something that just felt then, and honestly still feels now, like it was just a fantastic sign for the progress of this endeavor. So that was wonderful. And we really then came together and said, what would it look like? What does Microsoft look at for a program? Because for those of you that are not familiar with the program, and Robin will talk to it, there are only 3 new construction schools in the Microsoft Showcase program in the United States. So an opportunity to be school number 4, we really spent a lot of time understanding what are the criteria upon which Microsoft would base that decision. And the fact that we are one of the most diverse counties in the country, that we have the partnership with the University of Houston, that we would be driving STEM through the alliance with Fort Bend ISD, and through other private partnerships that Jeff talked about from a community perspective, the Canon, the Ion, et cetera. It really brought together the connection of all 3 levels of the ecosystem. And so that really created a very compelling story for the application into the Showcase School program. That after that process went through, we submitted our application in early August after several sessions of all of us just brainstorming, what would good look like? What would success look like for Fort Bend ISD? What would success look like for University of Houston? What would success look like for Microsoft? And I think we all came together on a pretty exciting path that's brought us here today. And I will tell you, and I'm going to speak for the others on this panel, that when we got the call, when Robin called, she said, we've been accepted. And I literally called her, I said, are we conditionally accepted? Like, is there something else? Is there more vetting, or is this pop the champagne? We've been accepted. She said, it's pop the champagne. Fort Bend ISD has been accepted into this program. So very, very excited about that. And Jeff, thanks for the breakfast, and thanks for the ideation that kicked all this off.
Well, thanks, Tammy. If you go back and you look at the flagship, what we've got up in front of you is this vision that kind of came out of the ideation sessions that were held with members of the Canon, which is a innovation hub in Houston. City of Sugar Land was there. The EDC was there. Microsoft. We had a meeting at their location as we were kind of talking about how this fits into a vision of excellence in Fort Bend County. And at the same time, I want to give you context that the EDC had commissioned a study before we met with Microsoft on that December 31st that explored how we could get an innovation hub in Fort Bend County. And so that was underway also, that kind of would attach to the back end of if you will, higher education that would link into the programs that were being brought out by UH and other higher education institutions in Fort Bend County to help find jobs for the education results, the degree programs that were being created. And so the Showcase program was really about, and that's why it fits so nicely into this vision, is it's about linking essentially education to work, defining clearer connections between places to learn and places to work. And we have had these great middle pieces of that scenario. We've had great public schools. It has been a magnet for Fort Bend County to grow historically over the last 4 decades. We've had great technical schools, and that presence has only increased with the location of TSTC in a big way in Richmond, Rosenberg, and the James Reese Technical and Career Center Fort Bend ISD has launched. We've got good junior colleges and great junior colleges that have been present, and we have among our most significant higher education asset, the University of Houston, and a Tier 1 program that is in almost the center of our county and accessible. And in that, and I'm sure Jay will talk about this, the College of Technology has a commitment to bring the whole college out to the campus over time. So that works well in terms of particularly this digital, scalable innovation culture that we're trying to develop. And they also have obviously a dedicated focus on private sector industrial partnerships that Jay will go into, I'm sure, also. But the Showcase School adds an anchor at the beginning of the process, and that's why it's so exciting, because not that we don't have that today in our current Fort Bend ISD, but this kind of focuses that effort into a STEM project-based opportunity to build curriculum upstream and build transition and matriculation into our university systems over the long haul. And then this effort on the Canon is something that on the back end of that process kind of gives not a termination point, but a launch point for a whole host of opportunities to interact with the private sector and the innovation entrepreneurial community. So that is the vision that comes out of this thing, and the notion of building on and off ramps in and out of the private sector back into education and entrepreneurism is really at the heart of this entire continuum vision that's out there. So with that, I'll turn it over to Adeola, I think, or Addie. Oh, I'm sorry, Robin. Sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you so much, Jeff. Good afternoon, everyone. I am just beyond ecstatic to be here with you today. As mentioned, as a Fort Bend resident myself, as a person who started my career off as a classroom teacher in this county, and now at Microsoft as a spouse of a University of Houston alumni, just all the things coming together and being able to run the Showcase School program for the United States and now be able to have one in my backyard, I couldn't be prouder and more excited for this opportunity to work with the local community, ultimately for the success of all of our students, to have a great classroom experience that prepares them for the world that they may be leaving to tomorrow, if they're seniors this year, or 15, 20 years down the road for our littles that are just entering our schools. So I was going to share just a little bit of information about our Showcase School program with you, what that means, what the designation means, and what being part of this fantastic community means for the local community and the school leaders, educators, and students of these schools. So today we have around 328 schools that are a part of this community globally. Now, while we are focused on this local school and we'll be focused around our efforts in the United States, I don't want this to get past anybody that This global network of schools and pioneers of education, visionaries and leaders in education is it's the hot spot of really true innovation that's happening around our planet with schools and education, especially with the sheer volume of change that has happened in our education system, even in the past 12 months, that was kind of pushed onto us very quickly due to the COVID pandemic. But having access to these leaders at a global scale, seeing what other schools have been able to accomplish, what they have done, the challenges they have faced, how they've overcome those challenges, and being part of that community of leaders of schools around the world making a difference is surely something to be very excited about. Now, as Tammi stated before, we do work with schools that are currently existing, that are already constructed and built, but this will be our fourth school, our third K-12 school that we worked with in the United States from a new construction, ground up build phase moving forward. And so we're so excited to have that opportunity here in Fort Bend. Our first school that we worked with was back in 2017, and it was built in Bellevue, Washington, which, if those of you that know the area, is in Microsoft's backyard. It is also an elementary school and has its doors open for anyone to visit. We also worked with another new construction school that opened 2 years ago in Flint, Michigan. It's the Flint Cultural Center Academy, another amazing school location site that I'm so excited about this site that we're going to be opening here in the Sugar Land area moving forward. If you'll go to the next slide, Dr. Dupre. Great. So let's just kind of talk about what it means to be a showcase school. Really, being a showcase school is not just about the technology. And yes, Microsoft has, we obviously are part of that, and we care a lot about technology and STEM education, but it's not just that. It's really a holistic school transformation. We focus everything all the work that we do with our showcase schools and our showcase school leaders around our education transformation framework. This is a framework that has been researched and vetted over many, many years, and thousands of education professionals have been part of this research and building it. But when we look at our K-12 education framework, it kind of comes down to 4 big pillars. We're really looking, again, holistically across the school center, looking at leadership and policy and the decisions that are being made there and that are important to school success. Obviously, teaching and learning is the center of every single school, and it's what most people think about when they think about a school. But there's also other things that wrap around to make a school transformation holistic and possible, and that's looking at intelligent environments, really looking at safety and security of the school, maximizing efforts and funding dollars aligned to ensuring efficiencies across school systems. And then obviously school and student success, and really tracking life cycles of students and making sure that we're meeting them where they are at their needs. So all of the work that we do in our schools is really grounded around our education transformation framework. Now, when we choose to work with a school through our system, we're looking for a school that is committed to using this framework as part of their transformation and their planning. We want a school to have a culture of learning. At Microsoft, we call that a learn-it-all culture versus a know-it-all culture. So it's something that we're always in refinement and working on. We feel that personalized learning and inclusion have to be at the center of the school. It's meeting the kids where they are, having them work on things that they are passionate about, and also being inclusive to all students, regardless of backgrounds, income levels, areas that they came into our schools from, or maybe learning disabilities that they have. We want to make sure that our students have an equitable learning environment inside of a classroom. Future Ready Skills is key to our Showcase School program. It's ensuring that our school students are getting the skills that are needed for tomorrow's jobs. That not just that they are getting those skills, whether they be soft or hard skills, but they are also leaving our schools with industry aligned certifications that they're ready to go into the workforce today and are meeting the needs of what our current employers are asking for coming into their institutions. We want our schools to really let data drive decisions and maximize that. And there's lots of ways that we go about that, but really looking at all the inputs of data that we have from our learners, our students, and from our teachers and our administrators, and be able to maximize that data pool, if you would, on a student to actually give our students what they need. And then obviously, because we're Microsoft, we want to ensure that the learning is being impacted by the Microsoft technology that is provided in the schools. Now, when a school comes into our system, we try to align kind of a benefit, if you would, from 4 different main areas. The first is really around support. It's providing a voice really for all of our leaders, our teachers on campuses to build capacity internally into their schools. It is giving them an active voice into our product engineers and teams to let them know what they need to make their learning and their day a day in the life of school easier for them. And so they have direct lines of feedback into our engineering team, as well as all of us that actually work in the education industry. And they also receive lots of offers and different things from many of our partners that we partner with in the education space as well. The second one is very important to me, and that is recognition. The profession of education is often the last to be recognized locally in our communities. And we really want to pour love upon our teachers, our school leaders, and our students in the community to let them know that their community does care about them and that we are there to recognize the great work that they are doing each and every single day. So we do provide some different recognition opportunities for the schools and try to uplift them as much as possible. They definitely make impact. They are not only contributing and shaping the future of our products at Microsoft and the programs that we run here internally, but they are also contributing to other schools and students around the world. As I said, it's a local effort at this local capacity in this school, but the voices of your students, your teachers, and your school leaders is impacting the learning of students around the world because of the collaborative nature of this program. And then the last one is community. It is about that global community that our leaders and our teachers will be a part of inside of this experience. They will have opportunities to hear from other schools. They will be able to share their successes themselves. We host monthly meetings with our showcase school leaders and our teachers inside the schools. We send newsletters to them. We often provide opportunities for them to speak and share their story at a global scale. And often, one of the things that our schools do is they serve as lighthouses of examples of excellence for other countries and nations around the world. At Microsoft, we often get requests from ministers of education, global dignitaries from around the world, asking to come to the United States and see a school that is a lighthouse example of what US education looks like and how education is being maximized. So these schools serve as tour schools where they will be welcoming dignitaries from across the planet into the schools and showcasing the amazing work that the students are accomplishing inside the school. So with that, we are so excited to have one of these schools inside of Fort Bend ISD and can't wait to see it getting started. So as Tammi and Jeff kind of mentioned, there was a process to go through, and this is kind of what the roadmap of the process looks like and to coming into a showcase school program. So all of our schools come in through an incubator phase, whether that's new construction as this project, or if they're coming in as we are already an existing school today. We review the application, which was an application that Fort Bend submitted on the school's behalf. Once it goes through the approval process, then we basically engage with consulting services. We have design architects, learning architects, et cetera, that consult on the project with Fort Bend as a partnership until the school's doors are opened. Once the school's doors are open, we continue to work with that staff, as I said, the teachers, the leaders of that staff, to align their vision and what they were wanting to accomplish in the school with the education transformation framework and get them deeply embedded inside this global network of school leaders. And then as the school progresses through their first year of their doors being open, hopefully it's within a year, they feel like we're ready, we're meeting all the check marks and the criteria, then they become officially a showcase school at the end of that journey. So we're looking forward to working together with you all to see the success of this school. I can't wait for it to be here. I would wish it was here like tomorrow. I know I'll have to be a little bit more patient than that. But I am here. I'm welcome to take any questions that you have about the Showcase School program today. And I'll turn it over to our next speaker. I think Dr. Neal, you're going to jump in. Or is it Dr. Dupre, you're going to go next?
It's Helinger, actually. I'm going to jump in. So good morning. Thank you all. I'm excited about this partnership. And as I go through our mission and vision of Fort Bend ISD, you will see how it directly overlaps and relates to what you've already heard around this Microsoft school. So our mission at Fort Bend ISD is to exist to inspire and equip all our students to pursue futures beyond what they can imagine. In order for them to do that, we ask that our students, all our graduate students, exhibit the attributes of the district's profile of a graduate, which are to equip them with skills for life. They're equipped with skills for life, a servant leader, an effective communicator, a critical thinker, a compassionate citizen, a collaborative team member, and a lifelong learner. The profile attribute supports lifelong learning and instill traits that will serve our students' success as they transition into members of our community. Our district goals, we have 5 of our goals that really focus around STEM literacy and collaborative communities, with the first one being ensuring that we have equitable learning environment for all of our students that provides all students access to the FBISD curriculum. The next one being aspiring to develop and grow all students as owners of their own learning. And then to support students' learning, Goal 3 prioritizes development of an inclusive, collaborative, and fluid learning environment that supports risk-taking and success. The fourth one is the Fort Bend ISD prioritizes literacy through development of student communication and collaboration skills to equip students to engage in a global society. And last, and you've heard a lot of this already about collaboration in communities, FBISD values the partnership with the community and their investment in student learning experiences.
All right, thank you, Addie. I'm going to go on from here, I think, and I think you can hear how all of this fits together. Make sure I've unmuted. There we go. I think you can hear how all of this fits together now, from listening to the conception all the way through Addie's articulation of our board's mission and vision, profile of a graduate, and our goals and objectives in the district. Over the last 8 years since I've worked in the district with our board, we have done, I'm so proud of our efforts to be a well-organized district who knows how to execute projects of this nature in a strong way. As Addie noted, we're all about partnerships in our collaborative community. We have a robust change management program and process in our district with a whole team dedicated to project management and change management on an organizational level, which really comes to bear in a project like this and complements the way that Microsoft Showcase School program works in designing to opening to obtaining the certification once the building is open. So as you've already heard, there's a whole process we go through the partnership, concept design, launching and implementing this school, and then it'll be a continuous improvement effort beyond that. Everything we're doing related to this effort ties perfectly into the diversity of our community. As you know, we have been documented as the most diverse school district in the United States. So this global organization, this global program, and now our global district are going to be unified in a very strong way. In Fort Bend, our instructional program, the way we do learning in Fort Bend is based on inquiry. And as you can see, this complements the Microsoft expectations. We want our students to own their learning by asking questions. We want them to be critical thinkers and be able to work together to find answers that are going to solve the world's problems, if you will. We work in communities of practice. Our teachers work together to consistently and constantly refine and get better in their practice of teaching. Our principals work together on a day-to-day basis as well. So we work in community to improve, and we want our students to do that as well. As I mentioned, we come to our organization, everything we do in Fort Bend, from a global perspective that's demanded and necessary by the needs of today's students, but absolutely is benefited by the fact our community is so international. We're already investing in innovative technologies, and as Robin mentioned, this definitely has been pushed very quickly to the forefront in the last year during the pandemic. but we were already and had this underway with a robust 2018 bond program that included hundreds of millions of dollars of technology devices and programs to ensure that we are implementing innovative technologies in our schools every single day. But I'm always going to come back and point out that we're not just about teaching on computers, we're about using the best practices of teachers, using our technology tools as a resource and a tool to challenge our students' thinking and as they grow and learn to think. And of course, again, you can see the perfect alignment. We're all about the growth mindset in Fort Bend ISD. Things are not always going to go perfectly. There's going to be a fall from time to time. We're going to get up. We're going to analyze what happened, what went wrong, how we make it better, and how we move forward. And that's just what we're going to do. We're not about blame and shame in Fort Bend. We are about learning and growing and thriving in a growth mindset. So that, again, as you can see, builds a foundation for a successful, innovative program like a Microsoft Showcase School in Fort Bend. Now, the details of the school there's many details that have yet to be spelled out. As you know, we're just at the very beginning. So we're forming our work group, which is a collaborative work group from all of the various organizations you're hearing from today, as well as business leaders in our community. But what we're going to do is have a planning and steering team and a bunch of subcommittees that are really going to build out the vision for this school. We envision it being a K-8, that would be kindergarten through 8th grade, magnet school. That alone in Fort Bend ISD is unique. We don't have any schools that are K-8. But we believe this will allow students to begin in kindergarten and be in the same building, the same STEM-rich environment through 8th grade. That would then provide a pipeline into an early college high school that would be in partnership with either U of H or some of the community colleges in our area. And so what we're excited about, we have an early college high school at Marshall High School today. This would be a second STEM-based early college high school that would allow these students to complete a degree by the time they graduate from high school. So in early college high schools, they complete an associate's degree at the same time they're completing their high school diploma. And that's important because in this case, that allows, as you can see already, the clear articulation right into University of Houston and right on into a STEM-based program for undergraduate and beyond, right here on one campus. The curriculum, as I mentioned, would support inquiry, design thinking, and innovation, which are critical skills in all industries today. Of course, we're always going to be working to develop the attributes of our profile of a graduate in our students, and we want to have real business partnerships where our students have access to real world experiences through business partnerships in this new environment, as well as the most modern, innovative technology integration. We believe that's important as well. And then we talked about the incubator opportunities. On a practical level, some might ask, well, who will go to this school? The vision is that this would be a magnet school that would be open to all students in the district. So parents would apply. We already have similar schools of choice where there's an application and selection process, but we would have systems in place to ensure that the diversity of our district is represented in the diversity of this school. So it's a very exciting opportunity for and I think our families will be very excited about it. We're also looking, and this is kind of moving toward the next part of our presentation, the U of H partnership is vital to this as well, because in Fort Bend ISD, we're about always professionally developing our team, but also recruiting outstanding educators to join our team. So through a partnership with the University of Houston, we will be able to run this school not only as a STEM innovative environment for students, but as a professional development school that will allow college students enrolled in the College of Education programs at U of H to come into this building to observe, model teaching, to do classroom lessons, to study, to even do their student teaching right here on campus in our district. So we think that will definitely benefit us because by bringing the partnership of U of H to the table, we're also then engaging our teachers in additional professional learning in tandem with the university. Again, this would then focus on problems of practice in a lab setting that would be right there in that building, Lots of exploration and collaboration. The research that takes place at the university would benefit what's happening in our school. Because again, with a growth mindset and continuous improvement, it's going to be a very dynamic environment that's consistently and constantly changing and evolving to make sure the students are being pushed to the highest levels of learning, critical thinking, and achievement. And of course, as I mentioned, it's a pipeline. It allows the university students to become engaged with Fort Bend ISD. And when I've talked to Dr. Neal about this, I have told him, really, this benefits the entire Fort Bend County, because even though it would be a Fort Bend ISD school, we have so many teachers in the College of Education from Lamar, Katy, Stafford, and Fort Bend that in many ways we're creating a county grow your own teacher recruitment program right here on our own campus. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jay Neal from the University of Houston to talk a little bit about how this connects into their vision at the university. Jay?
I'm still muted. Sorry, there we go. Thank you, Dr. Dupre. This is just a great opportunity, and I think Jeff and Tammi have done a great job kind of setting the stage for the vision, and Robin has described what the Showcase School looks like, and Addie's given us what the vision of what a Fort Bend ISD student looks like. You'll hear this from me all the time as a parent of 4 children with the products of Fort Bend ISD. That vision pays off, and it's really is amazing in the quality of students, even in our own home, of what that's produced. But I want to talk about additional opportunities and really what the University of Houston can bring to the table. So very recently, the University of Houston has kicked off a very bold strategic plan for the next 10 years with a goal to become a top 50 public university. And that includes here in Fort Bend County. So with that, in reaching that goal, this Showcase School fits in perfectly with this. When we talk about the diversity of Fort Bend County, we also need to talk about the diversity of the University of Houston. We are the second most ethnically diverse university in the country. Rutgers has us beat by maybe 15 students, but we compete with them on that designation on a regular basis. But really, we're going to dig in a little bit deeper with what a professional development school is, what that partnership with the College of Education could be, and what that can do for our community. I want to talk also about the student pipeline to the College of Technology. The STEM Magnet School curriculum feeds directly into the College of Technology. And then we really want to talk about what the professional workforce pipeline in STEM for the region could mean. So I was on a discussion panel earlier this morning, and one of my colleagues, Dr. Zach Hodges from HCC, made a comment that really struck me was the New Texas pipeline is our wonderful human capital. And I think we're really talking about building this pipeline in Fort Bend County to really make a difference for our community. So if Dr. Dupre, if you want to go to the next slide. So basically a professional development school is a partnership between universities and school districts. And what this enables us to do is, Fort Bend ISD continues to do what it does best. And that's, mold young minds and create these wonderful students. And it also allows the College of Education to do what it does best, and that's create wonderful teachers. But in this setting, we're able to actually embed our master teachers, our master counselors into an existing operating wonderful Fort Bend ISD school. In addition to teachers, though, we're also to bring in social psychologists. We're also to bring in counseling programs and diagnosticians. All of that can be embedded into this K-8 school. In addition, though, we'll be able to provide continuing training best practices for Fort Bend ISD teachers. And the piece, Dr. Dupre mentioned this a little bit, but one of the pieces that really excites me about this opportunity is the data sharing that can come out of this. And again, as a researcher, every step of the process we'll be collecting data on, and we'll be doing research on this, and we'll be publishing papers on this. So what does that mean? That means that Fort Bend ISD, Microsoft Showcase Schools, and the University of Houston are the content experts on how we transition P16 models for the nation. And then also really, when Robin was speaking, really getting that visual, that slide with of the globe really gives us this global vision, because really what we're talking about is a global pipeline. And then we can attract best practices folks, this is a game changer. We haven't seen anything like this before. The other piece of this puzzle, and I'm really glad that my colleagues, Dean McPherson from the College of Education is on this call, as well as Dean Ambler, is a student pipeline for the College of Technology. So one of the things I need to mention is that in this current legislative session, we've requested tuition revenue bonds for a second College of Technology building for Sugar Land to bring out all of technology out here. And Dean Ambler is a wonderful colleague to work with. What that does is that brings all approximate 20 programs that the College of Technology offers at undergraduate and graduate levels. And really, just to explain to the folks that are watching this, the College of Technology offers so much to our community. I mean, they have traditional engineering programs, computer science, biotechnology, but it also expands into the whole business community in terms of retail, innovation. Even with our digital media, they have packaging classes and then human resource development. So we're basically getting not only STEM, but a business component when we partner with the College of Technology. And again, this creates this professional workforce, a wonderful pipeline of great employees. So let's go on to the next slide. So let's talk about the industrial partnership zone. So hopefully everybody's familiar with our property. If you look at our new College of Technology building and you look towards the Sugar Land water tower, we have 40 acres designated on our property for industry partnerships. And what we're really looking for, though, are university-focused, research-focused businesses that we can collaborate with. Are there research projects? Are they open to sponsoring internships or graduate students, really doing collaborative work with us on this property? So recently, like this week, we put together an internal task force to look at how we can vet businesses for this area. We have a few companies that are interested now, but I think this is going to get bigger and bigger. And now with this partnership with Microsoft, we really need to pay attention to this. We will be bringing on a consultant on this project. And this has been a goal for a long time for the University of Houston. Jeff Wiley was able to travel with Dean Ambler last year and I and Elizabeth Huff from the city EDC to visit UC Merced and UC San Francisco to see how they're developing some of their larger public-private partnerships. But really, the entire goal of this, and Dr. Dupree, if we go to the next slide, we really want to create this technology ecosystem. And what that means is it's a kindergarten to career STEM focused zone for Fort Bend. And we've all mentioned this, it's going to be based on multiple partnerships, but the reality is nobody does partnerships better than Fort Bend County. A lot of these projects we've worked on, we've got a long history of these partnerships and we know how to make them work. So what do we get out of this? So what's in it for all of us? We're going to be providing the very best K-12 education, period. We're providing a tier 1 college education locally, not 20 miles down the road, locally in Fort Bend for students that are career ready. We're going to create this STEM teacher pipeline for our school districts in the area. We're going to conduct top research with both the College of Education and the College of Technology with our industry partners. And we're going to create STEM careers and businesses for Fort Bend County. Now, real quick, I need to brag on the K-12 education piece of this. So I was in a meeting yesterday with the Associate Vice Provost of Distance Ed, Jeff Morgan. Dr. Morgan is also chair of one of the chairs for the math department, and University of Houston has been hosting a high school math competition for over 20 years now. It's an international math competition, and we've got schools from all over the United States and Canada. So this recently, the past 2 weeks, there were 137 schools that participated. 680 students competed in it, and they gave out over 1,300 exams. So you figure the exam is on algebra, geometry, trigonometry, calculus. So students can take multiple exams if they want to in this area. So, and I'm quoting Dr. Morgan. He said, "Jay, I got to tell you, Clements and Dulles destroyed everyone." So that's the quality of the schools that we already have in Fort Bend ISD. Actually, he made the comment that Clements has destroyed everybody since 2004. But that's our neighbors. That's the current students that we have to really kick us off. We've got the groundwork for this. So again, we're very excited to be in these discussions, and I'm happy to move this forward. Thank you.
All right. So to wrap it up, I just want to close it by saying we have some goals and opportunities here as a community. We want to build future innovators, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. We want to develop educators who take risks, build leaders, and inspire learning. And we want to establish a pipeline to early college, high school, and the workforce. And we want to invest in economic development through collaborative business partnerships to support education, training, and research. I'll never forget my first day as Fort Bend ISD superintendent. Jim Rice took me to a meeting of the EDC, shook hands with Jeff Wiley, and I said, "What can I do for you?" He said, "You can show up and show that you care about business and how the school district supports local business development." I think we've done that consistently as an organization, but I do think this partnership takes it to a whole new level. So I do want to thank everyone for their support. Everyone on this call has been vital to the success of this program. As you can hear, there's not a lot of detail. I want to reinforce that because you may have questions, but there's still a lot of work to be done. We're still at the outset, but we wanted to get this exciting new opportunity on the radar of our entire community so you know what's going on and what's on the horizon in Fort Bend ISD and Fort Bend County. So Jim, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and thank you all so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Dupre. And again, I want to thank our panelists, you and Addie Helinger and Robin Hrivnatz and Tammi Warfield. I know Miss Warfield had to step off for another conference. And also my good friend, Jeff Wiley and Jay Neal for putting this together. I think this is really a great opportunity for our community. And I'm glad that you're sharing it now because something like this is going to take, a couple of years to bring to fruition, and we need the community to rally around and support all the parties involved to help make it happen. So now we're going to open it up to questions, and I'm going to start off with the first question, and that is, of course, Dr. Dupre, I know as you do that Fort Bend ISD is a district of innovation as allowed by the TEA, and in that capacity, the innovation that we're limited to, I'll just say it is limited. There's certain parameters that we're free to work within. Do you think this is a great opportunity for us to go above and beyond that and maybe be a model showcase for all the other school districts in the state of Texas?
I sure do, Jim. I actually think Fort Bend is already a model for other school districts in the way we operate, the way we plan and execute, with the way our board, the things that our board discusses and pays attention to and what we're doing in our classroom. But absolutely, this would set us even higher on head and shoulders above many by just the conversation on this level of collaboration is exceptionally innovative, and the details that will go into this and what happens in this building will definitely set us apart.
Well, thank you for that. And Dr. Neal, I was excited to hear about your strategic vision for the 40 acres of land that you have right there at the corner of University and Highway 59, and your comments about we're providing a tier 1 college environment locally right here in our backyard where our students don't have to travel that far to get to. I think that's amazing. And you, Dr. Neal, have already done a joint collaboration with Fort Bend County with the library that you have there. So you're not a stranger to thinking outside of the box and public-private partnerships and the like. Happy to hear any other comments you have on that. And also at the end of this presentation, Juliet, if you can please send out the links to the Microsoft Showcase program that Robin Hrivnatz was talking about, and also the strategic plan for the University of Houston that Dr. Neal was talking about, because people might want to go to those websites and fill that information out. Now we have one question. Is this program going to be an online program for Fort Bend ISD students? Would that be, what do you think about that, Dr. Dupre?
No, I'll address that, Jim. Thank you for that question. I also saw another comment about maybe offering similar programs at other campuses. So I do want to make sure it's clear, this is a dedicated magnet school that we're talking about, where students as they begin kindergarten would apply to attend this school. So it's much like we have high school academies and existing programs of choice at our middle school and high school level. This would be an elementary program of choice for students from all campuses to apply to go to this school where they would go all day, every day, and learn in this innovative, rich environment. Of course, we're already advancing STEM programming and robotics in all of our campuses. There's much innovation taking place in our buildings today, but this represents a novel opportunity to build a school from the ground up with STEM learning and this level of innovation in mind.
Addie, do you have any comments you would like to make as board president of Fort Bend ISD and your support of this program?
Well, I'm excited about it, the opportunity for us to have this magnet school right here in our own backyard, and allowing it to actually be that filter or that next step right before you go into the early college, high school. I think that's going to be really, really impactful for our community and our students, especially as we look to grow that program at Marshall High School. I think this would be perfect for us. I think the opportunity to be innovative and be on the cutting edge of technology is a great opportunity for all of our kids. And as Dr. Dupre had said earlier, for us to really get a chance to grow our own teachers right here in our district, that's perfect for us. So I'm excited about the opportunity and excited about what it does for our students, our families, and our community as a whole.
And going forward, I have a question here, a couple questions that are kind of related. Would this be a new campus or use one of our existing campuses? And if so, what is the expected timeline for development? Could you speak to that, Dr. Dupre?
Absolutely. So this would be a new construction built from the ground up, and based on all of the planning that goes into it in partnership with Microsoft and our community. We're looking at a site that would be more centrally located in the district. I don't want to get into property discussions publicly yet. There's still a lot of conversations to be held there, but we want it to be centrally located to make it clear that it is for all students in Fort Bend ISD. Right now, we're on a planning horizon to have it open within the next 2 to 3 years. But again, we're at the very beginning stages of this, but the steering committee, the work group is forming, so there'll be much more tangible, substantive updates during the coming months. I know we're going to definitely have it on a school board meeting agenda in Fort Bend during the next few months to give a more comprehensive update to our board and the public as well. So those details will be forthcoming.
All right. I think we have one last question, and that I'll direct to you, Robin. Is Microsoft able to use your technology to enhance the learning environment? And how do you track students' aptitude and interest in this kind of thing? Do you have a screening process that you use, or how would you help Fort Bend ISD attract students to this?
Yeah, so I will first share what, kind of repeat what Dr. Dupre said. Technology is not going to be the center of this school, rather the tools used by teaching and learning to support student success. So at Microsoft, we don't believe that teaching and learning should be focused on the technology in isolation, but it should be pervasive throughout the curriculum, whether that's a student in an art class, a student in an English class, a math class, etc. It's that the technology enables the learning to happen in a more collaborative experience. It allows students to problem solve through certain programs. I mean, we've got a very big, diverse plethora of technology at Microsoft. I know maybe some of you might think, you think of Microsoft, you think of Office, because that's what's traditionally Microsoft is associated with, is Word, PowerPoint, Excel, those programs. But Microsoft has a lot of technology that ensures a secure, private working environment inside of an organization. We also have a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning built into our platforms for learning that enable time savings for teachers and for learning outcomes for students. So there's not a we're not tracking students per se to do any sort of selling of data or anything like that. Privacy, we run on trust at Microsoft, and that's of utmost importance. But I will say that because of machine learning and artificial intelligence and things of that nature that's built into technology, we are able to leverage some of those things to optimize the learning experience for students and give them information when they need it or how they need it based on their own mindsets and their learning styles. But we are not harvesting data to use externally or any other fashion from our students. That's not ever a goal of Microsoft, not something we do.
Well, thank you very much for that. And, you know, as I have listened to the presentation today, I've thought how lucky we are to be at this crossroads of all of these forces coming together to make something positive happen for our community, for our students, for our teachers, for our parents, for our business community, for our higher education. But then I also think sometimes you get lucky when you work hard, and people have been working very hard in our community for a long time. I really want to give a shout out to my friend Jeff Wiley for his leadership of the Greater Fort Bend Economic Development Council, for always being on the lookout for opportunities, and for the open-mindedness of the University of Houston, the county itself, Fort Bend ISD, the city of Sugar Land, to help bring these ideas to fruition, which requires a lot of hard work, a lot of collaboration. But if anybody can get it done, I know we can. So I want to thank all of you here very much for your time, your valuable insights, your dedication to our community. We appreciate everything you're doing to help make us a better community, a better workforce, a better school district, and everything else. And because we are one of the most diverse counties in the country, I'll say Happy Chinese New Year. So, hey, I'm learning every day something new. Before we close, there are a couple of things I want to make you aware of, and that is on Friday, February the 19th at 11:30 a.m., we will have a virtual State of the City of Sugar Land. Normally that's done in person, as you know, so many things have been done in the past, but COVID makes us do it virtually. That's always a sellout crowd. There's always a lot of exciting things happening in Sugar Land. I invite you to tune into that. And then on Thursday, March 11th at 8 a.m., we will have some infrastructure updates with Commissioner Andy Myers. We all know Fort Bend County is growing, and how. So transportation, mobility, flood control, all types of infrastructure projects are of interest to everyone. And lastly, just a final thank you to our sponsor and attendees, PBK Architects, Stonehenge Holdings LLC, and my firm, Rice and Gardner Consultants. So with that, everyone, I'm sure if you have questions, you can forward them to the chamber, and we will get back with you with more information. And stay tuned, because I'm sure we'll have more presentations on this as we go forward. And thanks for your help in bringing everyone together to make this a reality. Have a great day.